What dirty little secret of someone else's have you been dying to tell? Years ago, one of my coworkers was working as an escort on the side. One of my closest friends cross-dresses secretly and doesn't know I know. He's ex-military and had gone to prison. He's a rough guy who grew up with a man's man kind of image, fixing cars, farm work, metalworking, working out, etc. Found his ex-dressing kit when I was helping him move. Picked up a box that was under his bed and opened it to make sure it wasn't something fragile before I tossed it in a pile. Fake tits. A bra. Panties. Some dresses folded up with some of his jeans cut to look like Daisy Dukes. I put it back where I found it and picked up some more boxes to take downstairs. None of us would care if he told us. But it's his secret if he wants to keep it. Friend of mine has never had a relationship. Claims to never have wanted one. He got real blackout drunk a few years back and told me the loneliness has basically killed him on the inside and he's just waiting to die. He's a good person. Very nice. Humble and respectful. So since he's told me every time he jokes about something or the subject comes up and he says with a cocksure grin that he doesn't want one and that it will never work out. That sentence echoes in my head. He just changes the subject, carries on, and I don't think he remembers telling me that. I know a guy who made over $1 million in precious metal recover from old factories and managed to get away without reporting it to the IRS. You get a share of that if you report it. My co-worker let another co-worker titty bang her while her husband was away in the army. Whilst another co-worker had sex with her friend in the same room. You get a share of that if you report it. Saw my son's jiu-jitsu instructor trying to find trans women on a fetish dating site while his girlfriend was back home in Brazil. That was the day I decided that this is in fact a small world. So, you were on the fetish site too? No? I know this married guy with kids who travels all the time. Like 10 cities in the last 12 months. Gone for a week at a time. And he never cheats. He just goes to his hotel room at the end of the workday and hangs out on Reddit. Okay. This is me. I'm boring as tea. Edit. Holy cow. You can get gold by being boring. Whoa. Thank you. Kind strangers. I guess doing the right thing finally paid off. In an albeit weird way. Co-worker of mine served time in prison because she watched her boyfriend kill their daughter. She's since had other children and is actually a fantastic mother. I don't know exactly what led up to her daughter being murdered, but I've kept that from our other co-workers for the past 3 years. Ham. Hammy ham. Jen. It's me, your boss. We can end this peacefully if you slip me some gold. Edit. That my so-called friend was not hanging around with me on those nights she told her husband she was. Buddy of mine tried to pull that with me once. He had about as sweet a girl as anyone could ask for. Pretty too. Then he met this girl. We'll call her Jamie because that's her name. Well, he decides he's going to take Jamie out to the bar and try to get a little side action going. I told him that if he tells his GF he's with me, he damned well better be with me or else I'll be giving his GF Haim his number. He rediscovered his faithful side real F King quick and, to my knowledge, never talked to Jamie again. It was one of the few times in my life that I've ever been legitimately offended. Edit. For those who think I'm a bad friend. This is a guy I grew up running with and have been in the absolute thickest tea you can imagine with. I'd take a bullet for him. I just won't lie for him. Yes. OMG. I once walked a very drunk friend home to his dorm room in college, and just before he got into his room, he pooped himself. Like, all over himself and all onto the floor. It was crazy. He was drunk and crying, he was so mortified. But I got him to the toilet and while he was in there I cleaned it all up. Nobody saw a godman thing. Got him back to his room and he fell asleep immediately. I threw his dirty clothes away in a dumpster on the way home. In the morning he didn't remember any of it. But he was pretty stumped on where his favorite shorts had gone to. I felt so stealthy. Would like to think he would do the same for me. Lol, I guess it's more my secret now. Now you're the type of friend more people need. My ex was into cat stuff, but wouldn't admit it. He considered buying me a $75 set of cat ears and a tail butt plug. He wore a pair of anime cat ears I'd bought the one time on purpose. And he had, like, 2 nipples and 4 milk spots. Which are little birthmark looking deals that are the beginnings of nipples. I shit you not. He was weird into cats. I get the ears. Not so much the extra nipples. A very prominent business owner once drunkenly confessed to me one night while I was working at a bar that he loved to be dressed like a lady and let his wife peg him. Well, this being a redneck town of 3,000 people, I found it best to let him forget he told me. I wouldn't consider him a prominent business owner. Some years ago I caught a 15-year-old boy while he was taking naked photos of himself in a bush in the middle of the woods. I didn't know what to say to a naked, embarrassed boy in the middle of the woods. So I just said good morning and went on with my walk. Every time I see him around the town he looks at me terrified. I'm late to the game here. But recently my boss sent me a long email confessing his love for me. He's in his mid-60s with 3 grown children and he is married to a very successful woman. I'm 26. Also married. I quit the same week he sent me that email. I was planning on leaving his firm anyways. I work in an industry that is dominated by men and I don't want my career ruined before it's even started. My stepdad, who is now a Sunday school teacher, confessed one time that during a rough time in his early 20s he sucked a guy's dock for a bump of cocaine. I'm sorry to tell you this, but you probably misheard him. It wasn't a dock. It was a cock. My favorite teacher ever was my science teacher through junior high from grade 7-9. He was caring and funny and attractive and so relatable. He was married to the home ec teacher and they had a beautiful baby. Also he was fking my best friend for the entire time we were in junior high. Junior high. This is age 13-15. I didn't want to lose my friend's trust. Or my favorite teacher. So I never told a soul. Edit. For all you people who are saying I should report him. I never had any real evidence to believe that this was happening except my friend's word. If she was making this all up and I reported him, I would surely ruin him and his family's lives. You guys have definitely put my mind into perspective though. If it was true it needs to be stopped. I'll talk to my friend and see if she will confess or report what happened. It happened to her after all. Not me. The person you just described is a handsome and manipulative pedophile. A former co-worker of mine is a mid-20s lesbian currently engaged to a girl that basically brought her to this area. None of that is the secret. The secret is that she's recently realized she doesn't love her new fiancé. She's actually crushing on her fiancé's best friend but doesn't know what to do. 2 supervisors from that same department played a particularly mean prank on another supervisor. They took the phone of a girl he was crushing on, worked in a sister location, and texted him things that lead him to believe she was interested in him. Lol, those supervisors are fking stupid. My buddy, let's call him Bob, and his wife have been trying to conceive for a while now. The stress got to them last fall, and they split for about 2 months. They make amends in December. Not 2 weeks later they announce they're pregnant. Hooray. Right? What he doesn't know is that she hooked up repeatedly with another buddy of ours, let's call him Chuck, during their separation. Right up until they got back together. I'm 99% sure the baby is Chuck's and not Bob's. I hate these kind of threads. But I always click on them. It is like watching a car accident. But with more SX. Breaking news. Car crash lead to massive orgy. More at 10. 2 co-workers of mine are bumping uglies. Not only did I catch them coming out of an area they had no business being near, but I have also seen them together in public. They're both married. And the dude and his wife have a newborn. You're gonna feel like real shitty when you find out the coworker is teaching the other one to nut. My friend doesn't know her older brother is adopted. He is tall, dark, and has green eyes while they are short, light, and brown-eyed. Her whole family pretends he just looks like some faraway aunt. But really, he's from Europe. There are no pictures of him younger than 3 while there are tons of her from birth. I think she knows but is in denial. My friend's dad is two-timing his fiancée. He's not the only one. If my finances were aware of how bad I'm f***ing them over, they would not be happy. One friend tried to have sex with their dog. They were also like 10 at the time. Had a job where we had to drive occasionally for work. We had to provide abstracts periodically and carry third-party liability. My co-worker buddy came in one day saying he lost his license from too many speeding tickets. Not a huge deal for the company. There are other drivers. One night we are out for drinks and he tells me that the real reason he lost his license is that he is in the country illegally and his US license is now expired. Now, he was dodging some criminal shit back home and came up to Canada. Nice guy. He assured me it was for some Mickey Mouse shit back home. So I kept his secret. Still up here last I checked. Late to the thread. But I'll share anyways. I know this girl. Let's call her Carly. Carly was a good friend of my ex. And my ex being the big mouth she has told me this story. Carly was at a party eating for some people. Just standing around when Chode McGee walked up with his intoxicated friends and started hitting on Carly. Carly was bored so she didn't tell Chode and the boys to FCK off just yet. But started talking to them. Their conversation somehow got to Chode asking Carly if he could lick her asshole for $45. Carly obviously said no way. That's disgusting. But alas, Chode was persistent. Chode offered more and more money until him and his friends had pooled all their money they had on them. For $220. Carly bent over, let Chode fulfill his smelly dream, and then left with her friends as if nothing had happened. Edit. Deeding is designated driving in my area. When my ex was a kid he used to get down on all fours and let his dog dry hump him. Well, one day the dog slipped all the way in and finished. There. I've said it. Your ex helped that dog along. There is absolutely no way a dog could just slip their dick into a dry, unprepared asshole. First off, if you've ever seen dogs hump shitty, their dicks are like the blind mouse. The only reason a dog ever finds a lady dog's vagina is because it's a vagina and ready for said dog weenie. They just kinda jab until they find the right spot. And second, a dog has a knot, which unless a person is extremely versed in anal play, this would hurt. I'm guessing your ex was into anal play and decided to try it with the dog. Like you prancing elephant said. The guy would have to be literally buck naked and spreading his asshole. And to add on to that, lubed up and relaxed, otherwise a dog's dick would never be able to penetrate. And now I'm bleaching my brain after writing this all out, lol. That he likes to suck dick. I'd really like to tell all of our mutual friends. Since he took it upon himself to share everything I ever told him with our mutual friends. Sharing his secret would make me just as shitty as he is. So I am telling the whole interwebs instead. I caught my hubby cheating. He doesn't know I know. Keeping that dirty little secret until I get a good plan in order. Then there. I caught my wife cheating. It sucked. The emotional baggage gets very heavy. Hell. I've been divorced 3 years now and I sometimes still get weird dreams about it. If you haven't already, find some support somewhere. A close friend. Websites or subreddits dedicated to infidelity. Something. Decide what you want to do. Make a plan. And then execute. You'll get through it. And if you need some moral support from a random Redditor, PM me anytime. A holier than thou aunt had a baby when she was around 16 years old after f***ing some guy that was passing through the village and took a liking to her. Everything was consensual is what I heard. The baby didn't make it. Apparently the aunt suffocated it and then buried with the help of her mother. All the women in the family know, and when my sister found out she told me. But swore me to secrecy. Can't believe someone I'm related to is capable of something so f-king sh-tty, but that's the world we live in, I suppose. Yeah, in my country that's called murder. Former best friend participated in a boot party where they curb stomped a homeless man to death. She called me drunk the next morning to laugh about the piece of his skull embedded in her boot. I never spoke to her again. I know groupthink is powerful and that the Sharps are basically a gang. But I could never wrap my head around that one. I'll always be grateful that I wasn't there. Now this is the most f-ked up part of this entire thread. I'm bored at work, reading everyone's so-called secrets to pass the time, and I'm hit with this f-king bombshell. What actually happened? Did they do a murder investigation after finding the homeless man's body? Wait. They did find the body, right? An old and perpetually single friend of mine just finally got a new girlfriend. I had a weird feeling when I met her, so I googled her. PRN. Edit. It saddens me that I can provide proof but I can't give a real person's name out. As I mentioned to someone below, the name she goes by Irol is the name I found online, as well as 3 others. There's a country music superstar married a woman because she lied about being pregnant, but then lost the baby, so he divorced and annulled it. For some reasons, the lying about the baby thing never got out to the media, and not sure why. One of my co-workers cheated on her boyfriend with our boss. Now that I think about it, I feel like there might be a lot of this in this thread. My CEO worker friend is totally cheating on his fiancée with different chicks when she's out of town. I sometimes hang out with her and she gloats so much how much other couples look up to their relationship. A recently divorced friend of mine started hooking up with our friend's girlfriend. He got wasted and told me one night. I couldn't say anything because it would literally destroy our entire friend group. I have carried this secret with me for 3 years now. I should also mention the guy being cheated on was generally a huge asshole to his girlfriend. So maybe it was deserved. They're split up now. A file containing erotic fiction written by a formerly prominent political advisor for his own use came into my possession. It's really poorly written in all the worst ways, and it has poetry. I want to share it so badly, but it would immediately backfire on me. Huge, but it's just. Picture doing IT work for the politician you hate the most, and you find on his computer fan fiction starring him and, no sh-t, your former boss, male, cuckolding him. My best friend's sister has no idea who the fathers of her 3 kids are, and she has another on the way. She thinks this one's dad might have been a black guy. Her boyfriend is white. He thinks it's his. She's freaked about delivery day. Oh, and she's 21. Everyone thinks her boyfriend is the dad of all her kids. I know a guy that found out a 22-year-old was having sex with his 15-year-old daughter. There was some coercion involved. He didn't call the cops because the 22-year-old happens to be the son of a cop. So, one day dad finds Dumbus drunk. Dad proceeds to beat the shit out of him, then take a hammer to Dumbus's right hand as a reminder to not touch his daughter again. My understanding is Dumbus said he got jumped by a bunch of guys walking home. Honestly, I'm just impressed Dumbus is still alive. I don't know if I'm the only one, but I'm reading all of these as whispers. A good friend had money on a bank account in Switzerland to save taxes, and when the new laws were installed he turned himself in. Yeah. It is all clear now. But I am still his only friend who knows it. I've encountered 2 people within my social circle on gay dating apps, Tinder, Grindr, who define themselves very strongly as straight guys. And surprisingly, as soon as I came across their profile, they quickly vanished altogether. And we don't make eye contact in class. It's not a dirty secret, but my ex is trans. She doesn't look trans at all and she's closeted. So none of my friends know. It doesn't really matter because we broke up. But whenever people talk about trans issues, I'm dying to tell them that I have actual personal experience with some of the issues. I'll always keep a secret. A lot of these are depressing stories of people being accessories to crime and adultery that's ongoing. Not my style. I got a buddy who got kicked out of a bar in the red light district in Sydney. A couple of years ago. He was pissed off, so he went around back to the employee exit and took a shitty outside the doorstep. And by a buddy I mean me. I did that.